Insane. Taekook's Soundcheck in El Paso sends fans into hysteria. Their style and eye contact take over the world. El Paso, a city usually known for its calm atmosphere along the Texas border, suddenly turned into the center of global attention today. Since early morning, thousands of fans had already gathered around the concert venue, holding light sticks, banners, and one shared hope to catch even a glimpse of Kim Tae-young and Chun Jungkook. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared them for what happened this afternoon. An unexpected moment that exploded online. At around 1:40 p.m. local time, the atmosphere shifted instantly. A side door of the venue, which had been tightly closed all day, suddenly opened. A few staff members walked out first, and then two figures appeared behind them. Within seconds, the crowd erupted. "It's them. It's Taekook." One fan screamed, her voice breaking between tears and disbelief. Without any official announcement, without excessive security buildup, Tae-young and Jungkook stepped out for a soundcheck. But it wasn't just their presence that shook the world, it was how they appeared. A style too powerful to ignore. Tae-young showed up in what could only be described as effortless high fashion. An oversized jacket, a plain white t-shirt, and sunglasses worn just low enough to reveal his gaze as if he wanted to be seen. Jungkook, on the other hand, wore a simple black hoodie, his slightly messy hair giving him that effortless charm that somehow made him even more captivating. But what truly sent fans into a frenzy wasn't their outfits. It was the small, almost invisible interactions between them. The eye contact that sparked global speculation. As they stepped onto the stage for the soundcheck, the crowd suddenly fell into a brief, breathless silence. Tae-young stood on the left side of the stage, holding his mic. Jungkook lingered a few steps behind him. Then it happened. Tae-young turned his head, and Jungkook was already looking at him. The eye contact lasted no more than 2 seconds. But for millions of fans, both those present and those watching viral clips, online, those 2 seconds felt like eternity. The way they look at each other. That's not just coworkers, one user wrote on X, in a post that has now gained millions of likes. Fans in hysteria? Tears, screams, and even fainting. Outside the venue, the situation quickly became overwhelming. Fans were seen crying, screaming uncontrollably, and some even had to be assisted by medical staff after fainting. "I've been in Army for 7 years. But this is the first time I've seen them this close," said one fan, still shaking with emotion. What made everything even more intense was the fact that this soundcheck had never been announced. No one expected them to appear in broad daylight. And that's exactly why the moment felt so raw, so real. Small interactions that became massive discussions. During the roughly 15-minute soundcheck, several moments quickly turned into heated discussion points among fans. Jungkook smiled when Tae-young missed a note, not mockingly, but like someone deeply familiar with him. Tae-young briefly stepped closer and whispered something that couldn't be heard but made Jungkook laugh softly. At the end, they walked off stage almost side by side, their shoulders nearly brushing. To casual observers, these might seem like ordinary moments. But to fans, these are clues. International media begins to react. It didn't take long for international media to pick up the story. Some outlets even called it one of the most viral soundchecks in modern tour history. A pop culture analyst commented, "What happened in El Paso today isn't just about two global artists. It's about connection, narrative, and how fans interpret every subtle detail. Theories everywhere, coincidence or hidden message." As expected, the internet exploded with theories. Was the eye contact intentional? Did they know cameras were capturing everything? Or was this a completely spontaneous moment that felt too real? Some believe it was pure coincidence. Others are convinced it was something more. The night everyone is waiting for. With everything that happened today, anticipation for tonight's concert has skyrocketed. Fans aren't just waiting for an incredible performance anymore. They're waiting for a continuation of the story. Will there be more visible interactions on stage? Will the moment from earlier happen again, or go even further? No one knows. But one thing is certain. El Paso will never be the same after today, and the world is far from done talking about it. As the sun slowly dipped below the El Paso skyline, the energy outside the venue didn't fade, it intensified. If anything, the hours following the now viral soundcheck only fueled the anticipation. Fans who had witnessed the moment firsthand were now joined by even larger crowds, many rushing to the scene after clips of Kim Tae-young and Jungkook spread like wildfire across global platforms. By early evening, the area had transformed into a sea of purple lights. Chants began to echo louder, more synchronized, almost like a heartbeat shared by thousands of people, waiting for something unforgettable. But behind the stage, something else was happening. Backstage whispers, a different kind of energy. According to several staff members who chose to remain anonymous, the atmosphere backstage was unusually quiet after the soundcheck ended. They didn't go straight to separate rooms, one insider revealed. They stayed for a while, talking not loudly. No official confirmation has been given and details remain unclear, but the idea that Taeyoung and Jungkook spent time together after that intense moment has only deepened the mystery. Another source mentioned that rehearsals for the evening show were slightly adjusted after the soundcheck. Some stage positions were changed. Timing too. It's subtle, but it's different from the original plan. What could that mean? Fans turned into detectives. Online, fans began analyzing every second of the earlier footage frame by frame, gesture by gesture. Clips slowed down, zoomed in, replayed endlessly. One particular video gained massive attention, a close-up angle showing Jungkook's expression during that brief eye contact. His gaze didn't shift immediately. Instead, it lingered just long enough to spark thousands of interpretations. Look at his eyes. That's not performance. That's real, one fan commented. Others pointed out Taeyoung's slight smile, barely visible, but impossible to ignore once noticed. Theories evolved rapidly. Some believe the interaction hinted at a deeper emotional connection. Others argue it's simply natural chemistry between longtime bandmates. A few even suggested it could be part of a larger, intentional narrative for the tour. No theory has been confirmed, but none have been dismissed either. Security tightens as the crowd grows. As night approached, security around the venue noticeably increased. Barricades were reinforced, additional personnel were stationed at key entrances, and crowd control became a top priority. Despite the tightening measures, the mood remained overwhelmingly positive, charged with excitement rather than chaos. "I don't care what happens tonight," said one fan holding a handmade banner. "I was here when that moment happened." No one can take that away. The lights go down. At exactly 8:57 p.m., the lights inside the venue dimmed. A roar erupted louder than anything heard earlier that day. Foams shot up into the air. Light sticks flickered in unison. The anticipation reached its peak. And then, silence. A single spotlight appeared at the center of the stage. A figure stepped into it. It was Jungkook. A solo opening that feels different. Dressed in a darker, more refined version of his earlier look, Jungkook stood still for a moment, scanning the crowd. There was something different in his expression, more focused, more intense. As the first note played, he began to sing. The crowd immediately joined in, their voices blending with his. But even in that overwhelming noise, something felt more personal, more deliberate. Halfway through the song, he paused briefly, just for a second. And then he looked to the side of the stage. The entrance that shook everything. From the shadows, another figure emerged. Taeyoung. The reaction was instant, explosive, deafening. But what truly stunned the audience wasn't just his entrance. It was where he stood. Not across the stage, not at a distance, but right next to Jungkook. Closer than expected. Closer than usual. A performance filled with unspoken moments. As the two began performing together, every movement, every glance, every shared second felt amplified. At one point, during a softer part of the song, their voices blended, so seamlessly that it became impossible to tell where one ended and the other began. Then came another moment. Not as sudden as the one during Soundcheck, but just as powerful. Taeyoung turned slightly toward Jungkook. Jungkook didn't move away. For a brief second, they stood there facing each other, surrounded by thousands of screaming fans, yet somehow completely in their own world.